Yes, it is. That's it, man. Whoop.
All right. We'll count it down in 3, 2, 1. Happy to be here with you, Keith.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Welcome to Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. It is senior day as the Navy midshipmen prepare to take on the ECU Pirates. He's Keith Mills of the Navy Radio Network. I'm some other guy. Keith, you got to send off the seniors the right way.
Absolutely. Oh, definitely have to send off the seniors the right way. And every senior class is obviously important on the yard and on this football program. But this year's senior class is even more special because these guys came through the COVID year. And the men and women that stayed in the wake of the COVID year really kind of need an exclamation point on their careers here, because unlike most of the other college campuses around the country who had some freedom to come and go, these men and women here did not. Brian Newberry spoke of that this week. Brian, of course, took over as a defensive coordinator in 2019. COVID hit in 2020, and the academy was not on lockdown, but it was close to it. And he said that the young men that stayed here didn't transfer out either of the Naval Academy Prep School or here at the academy in the wake of the COVID situation deserves a huge, huge pat on the back. He said, you know, the legacy of every Navy football player is kind of etched in stone here for their commitment to the academy, their commitment to the football program. But the legacy of this group will go on forever because they stuck it out. He said, you know, you can't, every young athlete thinks they deserve success because of the time and effort they put in, but it doesn't always come. And he said, we want to win games here always, but we really want to win for this senior class the next couple of weeks to go out strong.
Navy is recognizing 25 seniors before the game. And like you said, Keith, they were freshmen plebes in that 2020 fall. Several players transferred out, did not see this senior year come to fruition. And Coach Newberry was saying this morning that you'll see the impact of this team on the program, this class, 4 or 5 years down the line.
No question.
Because they went through the worst part of the program. And really for the service academies in general, it was tough going the last few years to get back on track.
No question about it. You know, Army and Air Force have allowed their kids that came through the COVID year to extend their college careers another year and their academic careers another year. They didn't have that chance here at Navy. With that said, though, you know, Brian Newberry said you really find out about someone's character through adversity, not during the good times. And the adversity that these young men suffered when they went through the COVID year and stuck around and played football and had some struggles. 4-8, 4-8, 4-8 this year. They're trying to you know, go out on a winning note. Will go down as one of the toughest group of young men this program has ever had, and that's certainly saying a lot.
Still a lot to play for. Bowl eligibility still on the line. It starts by beating ECU and getting win number 5 today. ECU better than their record.
Oh,
That's what the report is.
No
Very
question.
good defense. Held Tulane to a field goal. What do you see out of the Pirates?
Oh, no question about it. They started the year playing Michigan in Ann Arbor and actually played them pretty tough. Then they played Marshall, a team that came in here a couple of years ago and played really well against Navy. Then Appalachian State, who has had a national reputation the last couple of years. 2 weeks ago, they played nationally ranked Tulane, who is in a first-place tie in the American Athletic Conference. Kind of head up, lost 13-10, a defensive struggle. They shut down one of the conference's best offenses. So Mike Houston, his MO is defense. His defensive coordinator is Blake Harrell, who replaced Brian Newberry at Kennesaw State as the defensive coordinator when Brian came here to the academy in 2019. So they know how to play defense. They get after it. Navy's going to really have to maximize their possessions because they're going to be tough. It's going to be tough sledding, as they say, in the interior line.
It really turned into Kennesaw North up here with Coach Chestnut, Coach Carizzi right behind us talking to him, Beatty Williams. This is it's interesting to see the migration up here north and just the impact it will have years down the line.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the chess match between Grant Chestnut and Blake Harrell because they were together at Kennesaw State and they went after each other in spring ball. Not a whole lot of time during the season because you're going against a scout team, but it's still that core defense. But it's going to be really interesting how both of those gentlemen kind of attacked each other today in the game that really means a lot for both teams.
We saw some great strides from the Navy offense in last week's 31-6 rout of UAB. Sustained drives, one lasting longer than 12 minutes and parts of 2 quarters. What is the key to sustaining that against the Pirates?
Well, again, no pre-snap penalties. That was a clean drive in that game. They stayed ahead of the chains, coaches say, and they're getting positive yardage pretty much every play. Xavier Arline executed the option and the triple option kind of to perfection. The offensive line, who has been playing hurt for the last month and a half, dug in. I had a chance to talk to Connor McMahon briefly this week. Said, man, you guys were on the field for like 15 minutes of real time, almost 20 minutes of real time in that drive. One leg and all. So, yeah, it's easier said than done, obviously, to execute a 12-play, 13-and-a-half-minute drive. It was the longest drive since 2004 in the Emerald Bowl. It's going way back 20 years ago. But it was a picture-perfect blend of execution, sprinkled in a couple passes, but most of it was interior running, big chunks from Alex Texa and Alec Hildel and Eli Heidenreich, and just a real polished effort. Man, it's one Xavier Arline can look back on and say, man, we did it, we can do it again.
It was a gem of a drive not seen since the Emerald Bowl, and Xavier Arline has been the diamond in the rough at quarterback, fourth stringer to starter.
Yeah, we talked a lot after the game with Coach Newberry. You did as well, and you talked to Xavier as well about what that game meant to him. You know, he started out as a freshman as a starting quarterback here, played in the Army-Navy game. Last year, got replaced at quarterback. This year, he was moved to slot back. Didn't get a whole lot of time offensively, never complained, never went to the coaches and say, woe is me, I need more time, this and that, this and that. He acted exactly like you would want a future officer in the Marine Corps or the United States Navy to act. Senior leadership at its finest, as Brian Newberry said. The character of Xavier was tested, and he stepped up in flying colors, and he reaped the benefits of one of the really impressive wins in recent history down here. I had a chance to talk to him after the game, as you did, and he didn't say, look at me. He didn't say, look at me. Credit his offensive line, credited Grant Chestnut and the scheme, and just diverted all the credit to his teammates. And again, that's what you want in a future leader.
Definitely an example of humility, sharing the love with his teammates, doing all this. We've got an interesting dynamic now. The sun is peeking through. It was not out this morning. You are completely in the shadow. I am completely in the light. Step a little bit closer, Keith. There it is. There it is. I just want you all to see the voice of Navy football.
60 years of tread on me. You're a young buck. Look at him, not me.
I appreciate that. So we've mentioned the leadership of Xavier Arline, and really it has been the sophomores and juniors that have stood up on offense, been good playmakers. However, today I want to focus on the seniors. Who do you think could be a guy that steps up and has performances last go around at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium?
Well, again, Xavier, you look at him, he's going to have the ball. He's the quarterback today. You look at him from an offensive standpoint, you're going to have Sam Glover, who's going to be playing his last home game today. He's one of the starting and healthier offensive linemen. Defensively, nose tackle Daniel Bernard. He's played every 39 straight consecutive starts, which is really rare in college football this day and age. He's the anchor of that defensive line, along with Clay Cromwell. They're both seniors playing in their last home game. So their leadership and their ability to get the job done. Leadership's one thing, the ability to play the game. And last week they shut down a really explosive UAB.
Oh my God, not that guy. This weird dumbass is about to be on camera. All right.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. We're going to see you in the background.
I hope not. All right, so as we were talking about Keith before my camera died out on me, and as we look at the Navy Sports Rundown presented by Lighthouse in the background, the junior and sophomore playmakers have been complimenting. You mentioned Ray Lane. You think that, a very good point you made. Clay Cromwell and Donald Bernard on the defensive line. Really good two-ways players, making tackles on runs, running uphill. Those are all great candidates to be playmakers today in their last go-around here at the stadium, which is going to be priceless.
No question about it. And Colin Ramos is this week's defending American Athletic Conference Defensive Player of the Week, so throw his name into the mix. Will Harbor, Xavier McDonald, another senior. He's had a sensational year this year on the outside linebacker position. Any one of those guys can make key plays today. Obviously, second, East Carolina not known to really sling it around a lot. They like to run the ball, complement the run in the pass. They've struggled offensively this year. Their MO is defense. But again, look for Mabidi Williams, who played a really super game last week, another underclassman, along with Ray Lane. Andrew Duhart back there has had a real good, solid last month. Look for any of those guys to make big plays. But I'm going to go with Ray Lane again. I did it last week. He stepped up. He's the big playmaker for this team, among the leaders nationally in takeaways, and that's my pick for the defense.
On defense, I like your defensive tackles and nose guards pick. I think those are good ones. And I've been looking at the Temple film a little bit from a couple weeks ago, and while that was unfortunately a loss for them, I saw a lot of good things on special teams and on offense from Jaden Umbarger. Got a chance to talk with him this week. He is amped up. He is a future Marine Corps officer. He got his service. Really high character kid. We had about a 5-minute discussion about aliens. He's a believer in
a lot of people are this day and age.
Why not? And I think he has a chance to do something extraterrestrial today. Kamari Williams as well. Thank you. The wordplay, of course, all over the place. But Umbarger making a play on special teams, recovering that fumble, had a really good 22-yard catch against Temple. If not now, when? Like that would be my pick.
Yeah, Jaden, one of the captains. With Lirion Murtese and Jacob Busick, two of the captains out for the year. He and Will Harbor have taken on the on-field kind of leadership role. And Jaden Umbarger, one of those kids when you take a step back and say, again, man, thankful that we're in this country and young men like that are going to lead us to the next, out when they get out of the academy. Jaden went to Archbishop Spalding High School about 20 miles up the road in the Severn area. His dad, I had a chance to meet his dad a couple of times. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had a long conversation. And Jaden actually commuted from Baltimore County to Spalding, about a half-hour drive every day, and made that commitment. But down here, he is a scholar athlete in the truest sense. He is a leader in the truest sense. Again, it's never about me. It's always about the group. It's always about the team. It's always about the offensive unit or the special teams unit. And, man, you can't go wrong having a young man like Jaden Umbarger either on your team or running a platoon in the United States military.
A prime example of commitment. And you mentioned Will Harbor. How could we forget about Will, a guy who turned from introverted linebacker, still finding his way, to now being a team leader, a little bit more vocal leader, always got an infectious energy about him, optimistic, always a smile on his face, always giving his all. Yeah. Will Harbor, excellent choice today to make a mark.
Along with Colin Ramos, have given that inside linebacker's position great stability the entire year. Again, sound like a broken record. When the season started, everybody was wondering who's going to be the John Marshall of this year's defense. John was an extraordinarily tenacious defender last year, all American Athletic Conference. And this year it's been kind of like John Marshall by committee. Colin Ramos last week, Will Harbor a handful of games. Xavier McDonald has punched out a lot of balls and recovered some turnovers, had some big sacks on the year. Ray Lane has been that guy in the secondary. It's been a joint effort defensively. Hey, let's not forget Justin Reed too, because Justin Reed has taken the snaps from Jacob Busick when he got hurt, and he is playing lights out the last couple of weeks defensively. Last week I thought was one of the best games you'll see from an edge rusher, pursuer that we've seen in the academy for a couple of years. He was all over the field last week, rushing the passer, off-ball pursuit down the line and in the flanks. And, man, he has just given them a lot of great snaps, a lot of energy, and a lot of tenacity on that defensive end position.
Keith, final thoughts before our last go-round of 2023?
Yeah, 2 years ago, East Carolina came in here, spoiled senior day. It was really 38-35. Keaton Mitchell had a big game that day. He's the young kid who's taken the NFL by storm right up the road with the Baltimore Ravens. As you know, I broadcast Baltimore Ravens football as well, and he had a big game last year or 2 years ago down here. 100 yards, a couple of touchdowns. They don't have a Keaton Mitchell on this year's team, fortunately, but they are a stout defense. This team's going to come in with a lot of emotion. You got to control your emotion on a day like today. Cannot have a lot of penalties, which they did not have last week a lot, which really kind of helped them. So, you're hoping this senior class can go out with a win. If anyone deserves it in the recent history of this program, it's them.
I'm free on Sundays if you want to introduce me to Keaton Mitchell someday.
He may be down here today, so we'll see.
Would love that. Would love a picture with that Ravens star running back, Keaton Mitchell. He's Keith Mills of the Navy Radio Network. Be sure to tune in on WBAL and wherever you get your radio broadcasts for this game. I'm Luke Slaybaugh. I'll be in the end zone. Peace. Go Navy.
I like that.
Thanks.
Good job, brother.
Appreciate it.
All right, man.